guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Faith. If you hear the fan in the background, it's because it's really hot upstairs, which is where I am. And if you're saying, then why are you wearing a sweater? I'm in season confusion. Like, you know that time like before summer where you just keep wearing sweatshirts, or just like what you wore in winter into summer? I don't know, maybe that's just me, but like, yeah, let's just pretend that I'm not wearing a sweater. Okay, so in today's video, we're gonna be talking about my writing journey, because I feel like I've said, like in the beginning of starting this channel, I feel like I've said that I was gonna make a like writing journey video, but then I just never got around to doing it. So yeah, that's what today's video is gonna be about. And just some background info for people who are new here. I'm writing an adult literary fiction novel about a 20-year-old lady. I don't know if I should call her like young woman, lady, or girl. Actually, let's call her girl, because like I feel like it fits the themes of the stories. Okay, but like, yeah, a 20-year-old girl who feels behind in life and lonely, and so she goes to therapy and things happen. I guess that's it, but actually that's not a good summary of the novel, but like, let's just say that. And that book is called Therapy Confessions. That's why it's called Therapy Confessions, because she just confesses. I don't know, I like that, I think. Okay, but yeah, so like today I guess we're gonna start from like when I was just like a little baby writer to like when I was to like where I am now. And I feel like I've said a lot of times like, oh yeah, I kind of have been writing my whole life, but also at the same time like I started like writing 5th grade, and sometimes I say I started writing 9th grade. And so like this video will be an explanation as to why I feel like all those different times are like when I started writing, I guess. Okay, so let's start off with 3-year-old Faith. Or yeah, 3-year-old Faith. Okay, so this is like my earliest like I guess memories of like when I started writing, because before then well, actually not writing, but like whatever. Okay, so I was like 3, maybe 4, and I don't know when this thing started. Maybe it was before my memory like started, but my dad used to like, we'd gather around his bed, and he'd be like in the middle, and then he'd be like sleeping or whatever, not sleeping, but like after like a day of work, he'd just being laying down, and then he'd be like, okay guys, come into my room, and then he'd tell us stories. Like he'd tell us stories about like when he was in Nigeria, just like his past, and he was obsessed with like dreams and just like talking about our dreams, like not like the dreams like what we want to be, but like as in what we dreamed last night. And we'd tell him, and it would be like this dark room, and you could just like imagine what he was describing. And so yeah, he'd tell us his stories, and I feel like that's kind of just like why I like the trope where it's like old person tells the story of their life, like low-key, now that I'm actually thinking about it. That may be linked to that thing, but like, yeah, so my dad would do that. And so I guess in that way, me and my siblings became storytellers. So my siblings weren't as into it as I was, because I was obsessed with like when he'd call us into his room to like tell us his stories, and like when we tell him our stories, our dreams, like sleeping, what we dreamed last night, yeah, whatever. And I was like obsessed with that because I loved it. And so there was that. As I got older, and when I say older, I mean like 5, I started lying like a lot. Now this is like I don't know, because it's like, I remember one time I told my brother that there was monsters who were going to come to our house, and we had to throw a party for it. So we started throwing this party for it and whatever. And also with my siblings, with my sister, my younger sister, that's like directly younger than me, like she's 1 year younger than me. That's my twin girl. But okay, we used to make like these boxes, and just like I would daydream about like if we like glued the boxes together in a certain way that it would make like a castle or something. And it's just like my imagination was so big, and I wanted to be an inventor, which I wasn't gonna be that. But like I tried to make a castle once, a what is it? A couch once, I have no idea, a house. And like we'd use like old boxes and cut them up and just like build them, even though it was never good. Like for example, the couch was just like a box opened like fully and then just like taped in the middle, and then just like, so it was a circle and there was just like one open spot in front of the TV, and I love that thing. And we'd be drinking our juice as we sat there in my made up couch or whatever watching TV. That's some early memories. But yeah, so like I would lie, and I just feel like all the things I did as a young child was just like my imagination being so big, but like I didn't understand that, so whatever. And I would lie to my sister a lot like that, because the things, my sister and I, we were best friends, and like I mean we still are, what am I talking about, but like she was always by my side, and like we would like pretend to make houses for squirrels. We just did a bunch of things, and just like I was just a very high imaginative child. So I guess I was a storyteller in this beginning part. So then let's talk about like, and this is why I say like I've been telling stories all my life. But then first grade happened, and like where did the medium of writing stories, like written word, I guess, because like there's different forms of storytelling. There's like film, which is more like taking videos and just like I guess putting it together. Then there's like writing it on a piece of paper, so like the film is almost like an oral way to tell a story, or even if you just wrote it for other people, like whatever. And then there's like oral storytelling like my dad. Then there's just like, I don't know, poetry writing, if that's something you're into, which, okay, obviously it meshes and just like whatever, but like I came from like just like telling stories with my sister and just like making things up to to written story, kind of. Okay, so what happened throughout my elementary school life to like understand me is that, okay guys, what am I talking about? Okay, but my parents, and I guess me too, I'm Nigerian, like Igbo Nigerian, right? So my parents speak Igbo in the household, and because my parents told the school this, it's just like I feel like I needed a little bit more help reading, but at the same time, because my parents told them this, like I was in what is it? Just like a reading class. I was in like Read to Succeed, which was when people from MSU would come to our school and help us read. I was in whatever the language, like if you speak a different language at home, ELL, English language learning. Yeah, I was in like those 3 classes. So like I guess I didn't know how to read, or maybe I did, I have no idea, but like I guess my reading was stunted, maybe, like because it's like my parents, like I don't even know if my parents read to me as a child. Like I can't tell you if they did. Like I know they told me stories as a child, but like I don't know if they read to me. But sometimes is that the same thing or no? I have no idea. But anyways, so first grade we were writing stories or whatever, because this was like the most creative time, like the most time where they were trying to get us to write, and we would just like write whatever story we wanted, like every single day. We had like writing workshops, or no, not writing workshops, actually I have no idea what it was. It was like a writing part of the day. And so I would tell my stories then. I have no idea. I don't remember any stories I wrote in that period, because a lot of those times when I was in that class, I was taken out for like a reading class or something random like that. So then like I think the one story I do remember from first grade is the story I wrote about a diamond and someone trying to find a diamond, and I submitted it to the Sarah Tarboff, which was like this writing competition that we had at our school, and whoever the best writer was would win or whatever. And I submitted that. I just had no idea what that thing was about. But anyways, so there was that. Those are just like my early writing moments. But like back to the like faith being in every single reading class you could physically be in. Like that I'm gonna say that made me hate reading. Cause like we would be forced to read these books that I did not want to read. And it's like I do appreciate those classes in some ways. Specifically like the reading classes. The ELL, I have some things to say about that, but like, I mean, I get into it now. I feel like, I don't know. I have things to say. Let's just say that. I have things to say about that, but like, I guess it's in my book where I'm just like, white people shouldn't be teaching ELL. Okay, that's my opinion. That's my controversial take, and let's just leave it at that. Or at least they shouldn't be teaching ELL at the young age. Whatever. So like let's just get that out of the way. Blah blah blah. Or at least if you're white, then at least like have another language that you've spoken or like that you were speaking like before you came to America. Like if you're German or like French or something like that. Like but like whatever. Let's just keep it at that and leave it alone. So yeah, I was like in every single one of those, and I started to hate reading because I was just like, okay, this is what reading is, like this constant reading of something that I don't want, and just like whatever. And it's like I don't blame it for my reading, because I think that once I got out of those reading programs, I became a better reader because I could actually read, and like I was reading what I wanted or something. But like, because it's like I don't even know if it was like a good idea or a bad idea, because it's like, but whatever that it's always confused me, because it's like part of me is like, okay, because I was in all of those classes and just like all that, like I was not confident within my reading, my writing, and just like everything when it comes to English for such a long time. Like it took me till freshman year till I was actually fine with it. And I'll talk about like just like the American English system and just like whatever just like later on. But like yeah, I was not confident in that at all, and I still struggle with that because I'm just like, my grammar, if you notice, my grammar like, sucks sometimes, or like it doesn't suck, but it's just different, right? And I think that I don't know. Let me just not say what I need to say. But anyway, so there was that whole thing. And then 5th grade or 4th grade, let's say 4th grade, I started daydreaming, and like this is maladaptive daydreaming, and like I feel like my imagination was bigger. And also another thing that was happening is like I stopped being in all those reading courses, which I did like Read to Succeed. Like let me not put anything on that class, because Read to Succeed was like we'd come in a couple times a week, and like we'd have like these college student MSU students come in and they'd help us read, and then like at the very end we had a what is it, we'd eat waffles, and it was fun, whatever. Yeah, and it wasn't inside of school times, so like I didn't have to like miss anything, which whatever. So then yeah, 4th grade I stopped being in any of these, like all those classes. I think I was still in ELL, which I have problems with the ELL test. I'll talk about it later. Actually, I don't even know if I'm going to talk about it in this video, but like whatever. So I was still like in the ELL class. And then yeah, whatever, there was that. And then like 5th grade, and like also another thing I was doing, and the reason why I'm talking about a lot about my reading is because my reading correlates a lot to my writing, because like reading and writing are so correlated, or I guess however you consume stories is so correlated. So like yeah, there's that. And so my reading, because that's like I guess the medium I chose, which I don't know if it's called medium or if it's like whatever, but whatever, that's the thing I chose. So like it's very interlocked. So at that time, 4th grade, I won't say that I was only reading, like I wasn't reading anything, cause like I think from what's it called, from like 3rd grade I watched I read Baby Mouse, and I really liked that series. And then I started reading, like, fourth grade was also a period where I started reading a bunch of, like, these contemporary sad epic novels, and that's what my taste in books has been like. I feel like that really shaped me. And like there was a bunch of books I read, like Drama, Smile, Sisters, the Babysitter Club, Roller Girl, what is it, Real Friends, what is it, and just like a bunch of just like sad graphic novels, contemporary graphic novels. And that was like where like I started to, I don't know, like started to read a lot. Like I was reading a good amount of books, and I really love those graphic novels. Oh, Ghost, Drama, okay, whatever. If you've, but I think I said Drama, okay, whatever. But yeah, if you've read those, like the graphic novel, contemporary graphic novels, you know. But yeah, I was really into that, and like because of that, like it has shaped a lot of my writing, because like I do write not sad, but like just contemporary books, I guess, and that's where the origin of that starts. So fifth grade was when I actually started reading chapter books, and this was like a little bit of like a romance era I had, because I read like, what was it, Hot Cocoa Hearts, or like Cocoa Hearts, and I also read, I don't know, I think I read like this book about this like vampire or something falling in love or whatever. I just read a bunch of like romance books in that era, and just like even contemporary books, and but this time they were chapter books, because like that's when I guess I started reading chapter books. And also another thing about this era was like this was the first time I started a book, or just like I wrote a what is it, I decided to write like a how willow trees came to be book. And that was because we were reading a bunch of like books like how things came to be, like bear something, you know what I mean, like I guess whatever that side of storytelling is called, I forgot what it's called, but it's like how things came to be. And there's just like there's this like this whole amazing story of like how it came to be, and just like blah blah blah. So that's what I was attempting to write, and mine was about a willow tree, and we watched as this willow tree was like a regular tree, and it becomes just like sadder and sadder, and like the leaves become droopier and droopier till it's just like a sad willow tree. Which, what if I rewrote that into a short story? That could be cool. But anyways, yeah, so we watched as it becomes sadder, and I think there was like a girl in it or something, like maybe like the girl, like when she got sad the willow tree became sad, like maybe they were connected in some way. I forgot how it went, but like that was like the first story I sometimes just like say I wrote. And that's why I say like, oh, I started writing stories in fifth grade, because like that was a very prominent story I remember. So then when things like kind of like went downhill was sixth grade. So sixth grade, what did I do sixth grade? I started writing this series. There was a series I really wanted to write, and I wanted to write this series about like these 12 superheroes who are all, actually I was gonna say all black. Are they black? I don't even know, because the things I used to write white characters, so who knows what I was doing. But like it was like this superhero, like 12 of them. And the reason why this went terribly wrong, there's two reasons I guess, is because first of all, this was like me using my maladaptive daydreams and turning it into a story, which for me, I cannot turn one of those daydreams into a story, because like it doesn't make sense. And like the very moment I start trying to write it, I start to realize how little sense it makes. And though it's just like, it sounds like a good idea, I feel like the world isn't like it is in my head, and because of that it ruins the story. So it never works out whatever. So I started writing that story. And then another thing that happened was like, I remember there was this artist, and she used to like, people loved her art, and like they'd constantly compliment her. And I think I wanted a skill that I could show for, because like all my siblings are talented. Like my sister is a is like a visual artist. If you like, there's this picture up here. Is there something I want to show you? You know what? I kind of want to show you guys that. Let me just show. Okay, I decided that I'm just gonna show you guys clips of like the video, like of my sister's art, because like I couldn't take a picture of that one. Whatever. But yeah, my sister's a visual artist, or just like, yeah, whatever. And then my brother is good at fixing things, so it was just like they had talents that were like easily recognizable. Like my parents could easily see it, at least my mom could. So like they had that, and I wanted that, so I started trying to make art for my like superheroes. Like I started just drawing them, or trying to be just like a good artist. And like for some reason, some odd reason, like I lost my writing within that. Like looking back at it, like I don't remember purposely thinking, let me not write, but at the same time I did not write, which was like a weird era to think about, because I didn't know that would happen. Because the reason why I was oh, those lights are kind of dim. But like the reason why I was making art was to like, it was for my writing. And then like for some odd reason I just stopped writing in general, and I became weirdly obsessed with being a visual artist. And so I just started drawing whatever. They were all bad. So then there's that. But also during 6th grade I started reading a bunch of fantasy books. I read The False Prince, is it something like that? And I won't be showing you these books because if you know what they are, then you know what they are. And then I also started reading what's that book series called? What is it? Like those, The Wishing Spell, or something random like that. I started reading a bunch of fantasy books, and like I was reading like the whole series. And I think I read the selection that year. And just like I read a lot of books, and what started my reading off then was like Golden Boy, and then like I started reading a lot, blah blah blah. And also another thing that I should say, like in general, was I did not think that being an author was like a thing I could be, because like I saw that every author was white, so I just assumed, oh okay, white people are the only people who can write stories, and just like that was just a thing. Because like Golden Boy, I'm pretty sure that's written by a white author, and like the main character is supposed to be black, or like they're albino, but like they're black, whatever. And then like I just think that like a lot of books that I was reading, just like they were just like very white, and just like except like those books that were like from the 1960s, or just like some really old time, and it's just like whatever. So I just thought, okay, black people can't be authors, whatever, that's just how it is. So it's like my plan was not to be an author. I just liked telling stories, so I just wrote them. So yeah, that's what Golden Boy reminded me of, because I remember searching up the author, because I was like, oh wait, can black people be authors now? And then I read it, and I was like, oh, oopsies. And that also like this was about books I was picking up, because like books that the teachers read to us, I feel like I thought that the teachers wrote those books. Like, not even gonna lie, like I don't think I knew that they were written by like other people. So because I think we read a book, it was about a black guy, Buddy not Buddy. Yeah, I read, there was that one, but like I think that was like the only black book that we read within this period. I feel like that was the only one, because like other than that I don't remember anything. Maybe that like baby looking thing with like the little hat maybe, but like I don't know, whatever. So there was that, and then after that, 7th grade, I continued my fantasy books that I was reading. I started Good versus Evil, which that book, that whole series, I was obsessed with it. And then I read Twilight, which should I have been reading Twilight at that age? I have no idea. And then, oh no, I think my 6th grade, I also read Beautiful Creatures, which was an amazing book series, at least what I thought about it those days. And I was like I was in the library every week getting a book a week. And I feel like that period was like, I don't know, putting into my mind just like a book series, or like I was absorbing stories, which helped with my writing, because like obviously eventually I'm gonna write whatever. So then the end of 7th grade, I started reading contemporary books, and they were by black authors. And I feel like this was like a real turning point in my like just like how I was, because the first black book I read, and just like the first contemporary book, and like the reason why I had like a whole like resurgence of like contemporary books, because like all of the fantasy books I was reading was white, and like I wonder if the fantasy books I was reading weren't white, would I have written contemporary fiction? I don't know, yeah, would I have written fantasy, or just like, yeah, fantasy fiction, I guess. I have no idea, but like whatever. So I started reading specifically black contemporary books. So those books were, and the first one that got me into it was Light It Up. So Light It Up is the second book in a series, which I did not know. I just read Light It Up and I really loved it. And like that book, I want to say quite literally so bad, because like that's what I say every second, but like editing me is tired of hearing that. But yeah, Light It Up is like such a good book. It's about this girl who gets shot while she has a hoodie in her neighborhood, I think. And then we watch like the town's reaction to that, and it's like people outside of there and just like how they react. And I feel like that's another like why I love that trope so much, is because of that. And like talking about my writing journey is making me realize why I like a lot of things, which is just like so great. Whatever, I'm just happy about that. And that book, oh my gosh, I love that book so much. Like, and the author is so creative for like the way that she wrote it. Like there would be like, I think it was like, what was it, like there would be sections where each character would talk, and there would be like multiple people on a page, or like I don't know what it was, because it's like it wasn't like multi POV, but I think they would talk, or it was like shaped in like a really creative way. And I love that book. And then I started reading other contemporary books, but these ones were more romance contemporary books, like what is it, there was like a couple like black romances, I don't remember. Well, the guy would be white, because I have no idea. That was an era that was once there, still is, yeah. A lot of books that I'm thinking about now have just like white love interests, and I'm wondering what that says about just like how black relationships are viewed, and just like whatever. Okay, I'm just like getting off topic and just like thinking about that right now. But I read that. I also watched, but I first read The Hate U Give, and I was just reading a bunch of black books at this moment, and also like some romance books. Like I remember I read this book about like this guy who got kidnapped or whatever by his dad, and then like he comes back or whatever, because his dad was caught because he snuck out, or like he did something, and then just like he falls in love with the girl that he was with, or like that he was, I guess, I don't know, no, the girl from his childhood that he liked. And that book was so cute, whatever. And I feel like also that does make sense why I like childhood best friends, which a lot of this is just like me realizing the start of loving certain tropes, but like whatever. Yeah, I really should not have worn this sweater because I'm literally sweating. I'm gonna put on a t-shirt later when I get downstairs, but I'm also filming my other videos. We'll figure it out. Okay, so then wait, where was I? Yeah, so I was reading a bunch of Black contemporary books, and then COVID happened, and like I had a book. Oh yeah, I did have a book at that time. It was like about this, I think she was a black girl. Yeah, she must have been a black girl. It was like something stars or whatever, and it was like she's Ash. She wants to do something in the sciences maybe, and I don't remember the plot of the book for like. I just remember reading it. Oh, no. I'm whatever. I don't remember the book, but it was also a black book. And so like COVID happened, and like I had all the books that I had checked out, so I was reading those, which was like The Hate You Give, another book I don't remember, and like maybe another book. Oh, plus I read another book called like Rate It, or like The Rates or whatever. Like where it was like a dystopian book about, but it was like a very contemporary dystopian. Well, I guess dystopians can be like contemporary or not, but dystopians are dystopians. Whatever, that's its own category. And Rate It was about like this society that has a rating system where you can rate someone lower or higher based on like what they do and things like that. And so we just have like this was like the first like queer book I read, and like at least there were queer characters in the book. Whatever. So like there was this cute gay romance, MLM romance, and then maybe was there the sapphic romance? There may have been. Yeah, I think there was a sapphic romance maybe in the book, or maybe I'm just saying that. And I remember there's this romance between this black girl and this like white guy who was doing baseball. It was a good book. There was a bunch of romances, and like I was just walking the line between contemporary books and just like romance books at that time. And then yeah, COVID happened. So I stopped reading for a while because like there were no books. Like I don't think we could go to the library at the time. Yeah, it was something like that. So yeah, and I think okay. Then the moment I started reading again was like my 8th grade year, because like you could go into the library as long as you had a mask, and so I did, and I got books. Like I started reading black romances again, which were like what were the books? The Sun Is Also a Star. Wait, oh no, I read, wait, how did this happen? No, I think I read like everything at the public library, and then I went back to school, or maybe it was like when I started going back to school, like because I did in-person school because like I didn't like online anymore, and it was like that was like the middle of 8th grade year, and the first book I read within that time was what was it? Let me think. What was it? It was like Love Letters to the Dead. Yeah. That was such a good book. It was a sad contemporary book. I also read what else did I read at this time? I read The Sun Is Also a Star, which I loved that book so much that year. And then I also read Everything. And I just read a bunch of just like romance books and just like whatever. So I guess that's what I thought I would write, which again, that was just like refilling the creative well, I guess. And then finally ninth grade, we can talk about like how I actually started writing, because that's like when my actual like faith writing stories, like, and not just sporadically started, because I'm sure I wrote a bunch of things in those different times that I mentioned, like elementary and just like middle school, that I'm not mentioning because they just weren't as big, which I'm losing my voice. Like, can you hear that like crack? Oh, okay, but whatever. Okay. So ninth grade. I started the To All the Boys I Ever Loved series, and then I really loved those books, and I guess, did that make me start writing? I think eventually like my well was completely full, and just like the idea of writing sounded interesting to me. And another thing to just like mention during my freshman year of high school was that I wanted to be an engineer, or just like something smart. And the reason why I wanted to be something like that was because I wanted money. And like, I think throughout 8th grade I was thinking about like what I wanted to be. Like, I think I said I wanted to be an accountant at that time, at 8th grade. Whatever, let's not think about that. But like, yeah, I wanted to be an engineer. So like, I was like in Science Olympiad, I was like in Students for STEM, I was like very much into the sciences. And I think throughout me being in that program, I was starting to realize that I didn't like STEM. I didn't like a lot of things about STEM, like the lack of people of color, the, what else? Just like feeling stupid in a group when it's just like, there's no, I don't know, there's no reason to do this. And just like, I just didn't care, but like I was trying to care, because I feel like if I had put all my effort into it, I could have done it. Because it's like, I was holding through and I was like doing things, but like I wasn't all there, if that makes sense. Whatever. So then, yeah, 9th grade I started writing, and this is my first novel. So the first novel I wrote in freshman year was my young adult contemporary novel, and it was based off my daydream, my maladaptive daydream to be specific. And it was about this girl who whose boarding school burns down, and her and her friends come together to talk about it, or something random like that. So this was a contemporary book, and I feel like it was good as a contemporary book, and I think I was adding some romances, which would have been good. It would have given just like a bunch of different romances, and it could have been good, until I ruined that book and I put a mystery into it. And then I started reading mysteries to like research for the novel, and because I was doing that, but it's like I didn't like mysteries or something like that. That was an era. And then also I wrote like a fantasy version of it when I wanted to read fantasy, and it was like the same thing, but like there was a portal. I guess it was a magical school fantasy. I have no idea what I was doing at that time, but like I was doing something. And so like that book had so many versions of it. There was the contemporary version, the mystery version, the fantasy version, and whatever. And I also, like, within the period of like me wanting to write fantasy, I also started to write creative, which was my story about like creativity and how the world doesn't like creativity, which I feel like because I was such a young writer, I didn't know what I was talking about, so that didn't go well. And second off, I think what stopped that book was I read an adult fantasy book and I didn't like it, and I was like, oh, so like maybe I shouldn't write one, something like that. It was very confusing. I was just like reading and writing things left and right, and it was just like, and the novel just wasn't gonna work because, like, as I said before, my maladaptive daydreams cannot correlate into a story, because I feel like it's never the same. Like, no matter what I do to the story, it can't be the same, because the difference is that when you're telling us, like, maladaptive daydreaming is almost like this confusing, like, fake world that you live in because you want to be like, I guess, happy, or just like you want to feel something, or at least I wanted to feel something, whatever, feel whatever I wanted to feel. And so like I was in there for that reason, and because of that, the moment it turns into story, I start to realize the flaws in the story, because like the story can't, because I feel like when it comes to maladaptive dating, at least for me, like, obviously, whatever, is that I redo it over and over and over again, but like there's no like beginning, middle, end. It's just like I'm just redoing it over and over again. So like whatever, so like that's just what it is. So then I wrote that book, and then I guess sophomore year of high school, this was like when my mental health went to like absolute hell. And actually, let me restart that. Okay, so freshman year, I started having I think this was like the switch between Faith wants to be an engineer to Faith wants to be a writer. So like it was my freshman year, and I was doing math, and I started like shaking, and like this was like the start of my, I guess, tics or something like that. Like they said that I don't have Tourette's, but it was like tics because like I don't have voice tics, I guess, and so it's just tics, and that's all. So like I was like randomly moving, and it was just like due to my anxiety. And then like it got even worse when I got A minus in my science class, during my science class, because I don't know why I got that, but I just got an A minus, whatever. But I was obsessed with having all A's, and because of that I started just having panic attacks, and that just like was a whole summer of just health anxiety and just like whatever, because the things I didn't know what was wrong with me, I just knew that I would have panic attacks, which I also had panic attacks back like before then. I feel like it was just like once, but like this time it was just like, first I had the panic attacks because of getting that A minus, and then soon it started to be like, wait, there might be something wrong with me. So then it was health anxiety and just like blah blah blah. And also I should say like why I became confident in writing was because of ninth grade English. Ninth grade English was really good for me, and like this is also I guess why I started writing this ninth grade, was because I had this teacher who graded easily, and I feel like saying that makes me sound like, I don't know, weird to say, because it's just like teachers shouldn't grade you easily and just give you an A for no reason. But I feel like throughout school, my confidence in my writing and reading and just like comprehension skills was just like to the floor, because I was constantly like, I got B's and whatever and like C's in my English classes, and just like no matter what, like throughout, it's like no matter how hard I worked on it. And so because of that, I just thought I was a bad writer and like a bad student. And I think because of that class, that English class, I also was like just a good student because of that. And like I feel like every school needs to do that, where they're just like have a very encouraging freshman year teacher, because I feel like it's very important to just like go into high school and just like be confident in like your ability to just like, I don't know, just like do well in school. Because like for a long time I thought that some people were just smarter than me and whatever, and so like especially when it came to English, because I just thought I was just like steps behind, because like all my life that's just like, but it, I guess not what I was told, but like I guess in a way yes, and just like whatever. And it was, so like I just thought like, okay, Faith sucks at English, whatever. And yeah, because of that English class, I was just confident in my writing and just like confident in my reading and just like confident in just like my ability to write essays and just like do all that and just like be good at it, I guess. But so like I just wanted to say that keynote for like, I feel like a lot of just like middle school, I also think that I started to realize how bad my English was or whatever, and just like I think maybe that may have played a part into why I wasn't writing, because I thought, if I'm not the best at writing, then why am I doing it? Or if I'm just like bad at it, why am I doing it? And so yeah, there was that. And I don't know, I feel like that may be like a discussion for like people who have parents who are who speak a different language at home, or maybe like I don't know, you learned English in other ways, but like I don't know, I feel like for a long time I just thought that I couldn't do it. And like even sometimes now I think that way, but like I feel like it's gotten better because I feel like I've gotten better, maybe, hopefully. So yeah, there was that. And then okay, yeah, so whatever. So then the year before sophomore year, yeah, as I said, I was having anxiety, what's called health anxiety or whatever. So I started writing a story to distract myself from that. And that story was my first book ever, which I have a video where I react to that book, which you can watch it, and I'll probably put in the descriptions. Maybe. I don't even know how to use cards. I don't even know if those exist still. Whatever. I'll try to do that. But yeah, I wrote that book, and that book was like a queer, because I was also realizing I was queer. There was a lot of things going on freshman summer that I just like was so much, and just like whatever. And it was about like this girl who falls in love with this other girl, and then but she dies, and because of that she regrets all the things that she didn't say because they were best friends. And that's what that book was. And so I was writing that to distract myself from my anxiety. And then sophomore year I started writing a new book, and this book, as I said, like sophomore year my mental health went to hell. Like it was down here, like never again, like oh my gosh, which even summer was, but like specifically sophomore year I'm saying depression, not anxiety, which was summer. And so like my book at the time was like what was it called, How Long Is a Lifetime, and it was about a girl with depression, and she's trying to figure out how to tell her parents. And I feel like that was the story of my life, and that didn't work out. Like the book didn't work out because like I feel like once I told my parents, the book became useless, and instead of realizing that, I kept trying to like make the book work when I feel like that was the purpose of the book. So there was that, and that was just like all sophomore year I was writing that book. Junior year was a very bad year for writing for me, because the How Long Is a Lifetime book was not working, and so I tried to write different books, like the books, they were just like variations of like the first book I ever wrote, variations of How Long Is a Lifetime, and variations of the second book I wrote, the one with I wrote freshman year summer. And then also another thing I have to say is I went through a whole I don't know, mystery thriller phase, which I don't know, I haven't talked about that, which it was somewhere in freshman year or somewhere in some year, and I was trying to turn some book into a mystery. I don't know, whatever. There was that thing that happened. I feel like that's in my writing journey, but it's not like that big. Whatever, let's just cut that. And then this video is getting long because like I cut this video, so it's like 58 minutes, so I need to stop yapping and like end the story, I guess. So then after that, like, so I was writing contemporary fiction at that time, and so junior year I didn't know what I was doing. Then second semester of junior year I wanted to dabble in adult literary fiction, and that's where we are now. So I was taking this advanced creative writing class, and in this advanced creative writing class I said I'd write an adult novel about, like, it was like How Long Is a Lifetime adult version. And so like I started writing the first couple of chapters for that class, and like I'm still planning on writing that book, but like I've shelved it since then. I'm so tired of talking, but anyways, yeah, I've shelved it since then. And so yeah, I started writing chapters of that, and then people in my advanced creative writing class would critique my work, and then I'd take the feedback and like rewrite the story. And I'm glad I did that. And like that's just like what led me to adult literary fiction. And also I feel like within that time I started reading more adult literary fiction, because why I wanted to read adult literary fiction was because like the first adult literary fiction, okay, I'm saying that a lot, book I read was Malibu Rising, and I loved that book. I started to realize like this was like the new genre I loved. And like also another thing about junior year first semester was the reason why a bunch of those books that I was talking about weren't working was because I was growing out of YA, but like I didn't know that's what was happening, because I was just like, why don't I like YA? Like, why can't I read it? Why can't I write it? Why can't I just like love it as much as I did? And I think that's also another reason why How Long is a Lifetime, the young adult version, didn't work. So there's that. Wow, this is such a long story. So then I started writing that, and I wrote that throughout my junior year summer, and then like I went to Nigeria, and I think that was like the switching point, because I realized, because I was like, okay, write this book before you go to Nigeria, or just like don't write it at all. And so I didn't write it, and I thought like Nigeria would give me ideas. It did not. Anyways, so then senior year, the beginning of it, I think I tried to make it work again. Maybe, I have no idea what I was doing. I was writing a bunch of books, and then we get to Therapy Confessions, kind of half Therapy Confessions. So Therapy Confessions, I wrote it like fall, and if you watch like my very first video, like I'm like, oh, I was working on Therapy Confessions, or like I don't remember exactly what I did, but like eventually I shelved it to work on my another novel, which was They Fell Apart, or We Fell Apart. And that book is what the next book I want to write, is what the next book I want to write. And that one's like a family drama, and the reason why I couldn't write that was because I feel like that's not what the book actually needed to be, so I needed to like redo it to its original plan. And so I've thought of how to do that, and I figured out the solution, blah blah blah. And then but like the things back then, I didn't have a solution, so I was back in the cold, and I was like, okay, what novel do I start writing? And so I decided, and the reason why I decided to shelve Therapy Confessions was because it was a newer idea I had. I like, unlike We Fell Apart and the older version of let's call it Winter, because that's like what the book is about, like the depression book. That's a weird way to say it, like whatever, that book. Those books had been in my mind for a long time, but then, oh, actually there was another book that I was gonna write, which was like this adult like family book, but like it didn't end up working out, and it was like very much what was it, like I think Malibu Rising vibes, but then like that's what We Fell Apart became. What, let's just try to end this video fast because I'm getting so tired and my voice is going in and out and just like whatever. So like there was that, and then like, so the reason why I went to Therapy Confessions again was because I didn't have any other things to write, and I was scared that because Therapy Confessions was a newer idea that it would fail, because like usually my newer ideas fail because I don't know what I want it to be yet, which surprisingly it hasn't, because it's like been almost the same thing, at least I think so. Maybe I'll rewatch some videos and realize my mistake, but like it's been almost the same thing. And like this is a book I'm hoping to be my debut novel, because like I remember last year I was going like, oh yeah, I'm probably not gonna finish a book this year, and like now, though I'm just like late to every deadline that I set for myself, I'm still, I don't know if trying, or just like I'm still in the running, and I'm just like still writing, and I'm still working on it, and I haven't given up on it yet. So yeah, that's my writing journey. it was such a long video. I've been making longer videos lately, and I don't know, because I want like beefy videos, because I'm just talking about things that I'm interested in talking about now versus other times. But yeah, so that's my writing journey. If you want to share your writing journey in the comments, then do that. And thanks for watching. Bye.